I remember going through a very, very difficult season, a bad week, and an awful day. And I was trying to think, what on earth is anything good come out of this? And I remembered something. I remembered two scriptures, and they reminded me, hang in there, Dave, you're not home yet. This is the reality of planet Earth. Genesis 3, Adam and Eve sinned, and from the moment they sinned, they opened Pandora's box. They brought a curse down on the planet. Satan began to view himself as the god of this world. All of a sudden, you had natural disasters, floods, fires, famines, earthquakes, tornadoes. All of a sudden, you had sickness, diseases, plagues. All of a sudden, animals became poisonous. They became violent. All of a sudden, people became sinful and they began to hurt each other, war against each other, steal from each other, lie to each other, rape each other, abuse each other. Why is life so bad down here on planet Earth? Because we live on a sin-cursed planet. It's the reality of where we are right now. But I got good news for you. I've read the end of the book, and the end of this book, Revelation chapter 1 says we're going to be in a place called heaven, the new heaven, the new earth, and there's going to be no sin there. There's going to be no sinners. Nobody will cheat you, lie to you, abuse you, hurt you. No sinners, no sin. You're not going to sabotage yourself. Your sin nature is going to be gone. You're going to have no sickness, no disease, no death, no sorrow, and no suffering. It's going to be heaven. But between now, where we're suffering, and heaven, where there is no suffering, how do you get through? Romans chapter 8, verse 18, Paul says, For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that will be revealed in us. This present suffering, he said, is not equivalent to the future glory. It's going to be so much greater. A little season of suffering and sorrow now yields great eternity without suffering later. Hang in there. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, I love this chapter. And when I was going through a hard time a couple years ago, I just read this over and over. It says, Therefore, we do not lose heart. Even though our outward man is perishing, our inward man is being renewed day by day. He says, For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far exceeding and eternal weight of glory. He said, we don't get discouraged. We don't lose heart because this light and momentary affliction. Now, Paul was in prison. Paul had been beaten, he'd been whipped, he'd been mocked, he'd been abandoned, he'd been robbed, he'd been stoned. He said this light and momentary affliction is not a big deal compared to the exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Therefore, he says, we don't lose heart. I don't want you to lose heart today. I don't want you to be discouraged. I know you're going through a hard time. It's difficult. It breaks your heart. You've got loved ones and they've got issues. I understand. But I want you to understand that if you trust Jesus Christ, this light and momentary affliction is going to yield itself to a far more exceedingly eternal weight of glory. Encouraged. Well, they were very old and they needed to come home. So they're on a boat coming from Africa to America. They arrive in America and there's banners up. There's big signs that say welcome home. There's a band playing. There's a big platform with dignitaries on it. And the man says to his wife, wow, this is much more than I expected. I was hoping they would give us a good reception, but I wasn't expecting this. Well, next thing you know, they're pushed aside, pushed off the boat, and the real dignitary comes off the boat, the President of the United States, And all of this, the welcome, the band, the banners, the dignitaries, it was all for him. He'd been on a safari in Africa, and he was now coming home. Well, the husband was dejected. No one was there to greet him. No sign, no band, no welcome. He was dejected. And his wife, he said, well, I guess no one cares. His wife said, honey, don't worry about it. We're not home yet. You can hang in there in the midst of a sin-cursed planet, knowing it's going to get a whole lot better one day, because we're not home yet. I'm Dave Earley. We do this type of Bible teaching 5 days a week. I encourage you to share this video with your friends. Follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel.